Hello, my name's Bev and I'm the author of the book Please Eat, A Mother's Struggle to Free Her Teenage Son from Anorexia, which describes our family's battle with the deadly eating disorder, anorexia nervosa, which my teenage son Ben developed back in 2009 when he was just 15 years old. This is another post from January 2011, the year I began to write a blog about my son's recovery from anorexia nervosa. And this one is all about getting support from school, because if you're a parent and you're going through this too, you'll know that school can be very tricky. It can cause all manner of problems, and getting support from school is essential. We were very, very lucky in that we got outstanding support from Ben's school, and I really don't know what we could have done without it. So this post is from Friday the 14th of January 2011, and it's called Anorexia, Getting Support from the School. Back in November 29, after Ben started behaving very strangely at school, I decided it was time to come clean and tell the school about the anorexia. I got in touch with the head of Year 11 and explained that we believed that Ben was developing an eating disorder and to be aware that he may start to behave unusually. Mr. H said that the PE staff had mentioned that Ben had lost an awful lot of weight recently. From that moment on, the school was incredibly supportive, and well over 1 year on, they still are. What's more, our CAMS team actually went into school back in November to talk to a group of 25 or so of Ben's friends. They explained all about eating disorders, how it affected Ben, and answered their questions. It was an extremely useful session. Ben's friendship group has always been superb, but this session was a watershed in Ben's rehabilitation into the school social scene. I took Ben out of school in March 2010 mainly because he was spending more and more time at home than at school due to extreme school phobia, and we needed to get some kind of structure in place. Ben is very academic and eager to learn, so it was important for him to continue with his studies, especially with GCSEs looming in June. Between then and the exams, we developed a workable routine whereby we picked up work once a week and dropped other work off for marking. Other work was emailed home, and now and again we'd have a catch-up with staff to check that Ben was still on track. The school allowed him to sit his GCSEs in private, separate from anyone else, mainly because we didn't want to A, risk Ben freaking out and ruining his own chances in the exam, and B, freaking out his peers and ruining theirs. Amazingly, Ben got excellent GCSE results. School has continued to be flexible and supportive this year as Ben started back at school in the lower sixth form. When he started to find full days difficult, he tried attending mornings only, coming back home for lunch, which was more manageable than crossing our fingers and hoping he'd eat enough calories at school, and reverting back to the email work-home routine. He also picked a couple of friends from each subject group who would be happy to photocopy their notes for him in his absence. Some days Ben doesn't make it into school because of the insomnia. On these occasions, I email the fantastic head of sixth form who arranges for staff to send work home so Ben doesn't get behind, and he's managed to keep up brilliantly. The point I'm making is that it's vital to let school know what's going on very early in the diagnosis, and also to educate them on eating disorders as much as you can, because, as you'll probably know from experience, precious little is known about these misunderstood conditions. That's the end of that particular blog post. We weren't forcing Ben to study. He was just very keen to study himself because it it gave him something to take his mind off the eating disorder, and also being intellectual, he just needed the intellectual stimulus. And one good thing to come out of this is that he got used to, at an early age, at this age, to studying alone and independently, which reaped dividends when it came to his university education later, especially when it came to things like studying for and writing his dissertations in his degrees. I'll talk about that later, how Ben actually has got 3 degrees now. 3. One main degree and 2 masters, and he also has a PGCE in primary school education. And as I've said before, now in 2022, he's training to be a psychologist and has done very well in his master's psychology exams, where he got a distinction. Thank you for listening. You'll find a link below to my blog, and you'll also find a link to my website where you can download free PDFs of my blog, and also a link to Amazon where you can buy a copy of my book.